Hey guys, Liana here playing more Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection, the remaster stuff, and here's a beauty shot. The vistas, as I call them, the backgrounds are like super gorgeous in this game. Massive cheating on the rendering, but that's okay. I like when they cheat the pretty. Um, but I started playing this game again because this debate started on Twitter about whether or not the concussive animations. I'm very low on ammo, as you will see. But whether or not the concussive animations in this game are physics-driven or simply cosmetic, and I can't tell. So and I cannot get a combo to work for the life of me anymore. Oh, I approve of that. But I don't know why. I love it in games when somebody like punches another dude in the nuts. Because if you really were fighting for your life, you would take the most painful, like shortest distance from point A to point B attack you possibly could. And where's point B? Right in a guy's junk. It's super effective. So I approve of donkey punches in video games because if you're fighting for your life, you fight for your damn life. You don't, keep it above the belt when a dude's trying to kill you. But I'm going to keep that to try to generate some explosions so we can try to get to the bottom of this physics versus cosmetic issue. And there's a dude there. No grenade. Don't blow me up. You want to blow the boxes up. And people were complaining that Elena's indestructible in this game. Yes, she is. You will recall that I said I disliked Elena in this game. Replaying this, I've been reminded of why I disliked Elena. They went out of their way, I missed, to create a strong female character TM. And in doing so, see that? Do you see how the wood moved with the blast? That indicates it's physics driven. So there's at least a physics component to it. If not, and the combos aren't working. Why is the combo not working? There. But yeah, the way that wood moved, the debris from the crate, the way it moved indicates that blast isn't just cosmetic. It's tied to something based in physics, which is pretty darn impressive when you think about it. And yeah, the Magnum animations absolutely are not realistic. They're just funny. And that's the thing you have to accept about Uncharted games. They're not aiming for... Monastery. Stop talking, Drake. They're not aiming for realism. They're trying to allow you to play an action movie. But I'm pretty sure there's at least some physics in those explosions, because if you saw the way that wood moved, it was decent. But I was saying, why don't I like Elena? Right, because they went so full-on strong female character TM air quotes, and no, I don't want to go this way. Is this gonna kill me? Is this gonna kill me? I didn't mean to go this way. Oh no. But so in creating strong female character air quotes TM, they made her stupid. She has absolutely no survival instinct. She does things that are completely inadvisable and is, not useless. She's reckless to the point that, okay, I get that you have to create some bullshit excuse why they would not do the smart thing and keep going after a treasure, even though there's a high, a high likelihood it will result in them becoming bullet-riddled Swiss cheese. But did they have to make her so dumb? I mean, she's got a bad case of adrenaline poisoning. And I like the fact she's the one shooting here. I think it's important that she's not useless. The manzel in distress, as I call male damsels in distress in this game, is Sully. And I mean, she does help Drake out of a few jams. But I don't understand the amount of, no, we can't go back, must It's dumb. It's stupid. It's beyond what's believable. You know, she's not covering a war zone. She's like a National Geographic reporter. And it just drove me crazy because it really felt forced to me. They should have taken a little bit more time. Now, again, this was, you know, an older game, and we hadn't really had the discussions about, you know, in a meaningful way about strong female character versus interesting female character. But, you know, it's cool that I realized, yeah, there's a reason that Elena drove me crazy, and that's valid, and we should talk about it. She's much more nuanced in later games. Oh yeah, I didn't like this part either. Replaying this game, there are parts that I'm just like, oh god, not this part. And again, with the 60 frames, this is harder than it was before. Because you've got double that bobble animation. The water's really pretty though. This always reminds me of Donkey Kong, because we're basically, you know, avoiding flaming barrels. But the other thing I wanted to talk about, that was only under 7 minutes, okay, good. Because the other thing I wanted to talk about was something much more serious than my opinions on video game characters. It was the rather thoughtful feedback I got regarding my South by Southwest panel cancellation video. And some people got dumb and, you know, militant about it, but most people didn't. The takeaway I got from the people who commented, and so people know who are fairly new to this channel, because I've had a bunch of new subscribers lately, thank you. There are some people who watch this channel who do self-identify as pro-Gamergate. Not everybody. I wouldn't even say the majority. Because, I mean, this is feminist game criticism, so, you know, obviously there's going to be some, not all, in Gamergate participants who hate everything I stand for, but not all, and that's the point, not all. And so every so often I get into these, well, that sucked. Every so often I get into these discussions with pro-Gamergate people. Why does the media treat us the way they do? Why do people hate us? Why are we labeled terrorists for, you know, arguing about video games on the internet? And these are, I think, pretty valid questions in the grand scheme of things. It does seem very odd to me that a giant nerd fight has become this massive thing, and you know, because it became so loud and so dramatic, it became it's almost a, you know, what back in the day we'd call potential anti-hero status. You know, they're trying, the trolls are trying to make something bad happen because everything has just gotten to the point of mass dehumanization, and they think that somebody has it coming. And you know, some of it is connected to very, very old message board wars. A lot of the reason, and some people don't know this, but a lot of the reason that Gamergate got as loud as it did is it was connected to some, hey, Donkey Kong's up there. Look, that dude's Donkey Kong. I wish you could do that to Donkey Kong. He was kicking barrels in the river. Oh, there's another one. There's another Donkey Kong. Yeah, not anymore. You're a Sony product. You can't be Donkey Kong. You're a naughty dog, not a giant monkey. But one of the reasons it got so loud is unrelated but coincidental, or, you know, correlated meltdowns at both Reddit and 4chan that were going on for a really long time, but just sort of hit critical mass right there. And it was like dry Tinder and this nerd fight about, you know, stuff just sparked. It just, whenever you've got a systemic weakness like that in a service, the most petty stuff can make the whole house of cards come tumbling down. And that's what I think happened. And because there was that massive upheaval, as we were saying at the time, you know, all these trolls broke containment on 4chan. And then, I mean, something awful has for years been waiting for 4chan's demise. So that's part of the reason it's gotten so ridiculous. When you have... Ooh, that was neat. When you have two... You know, the presence of one troll board is bad enough, but when you've got warring troll boards, you've got like an internet civil war, you know, a blood feud going on, it doesn't matter what the battleground is, it's gonna be a freaking conflagration. It's internet Armageddon, you know? And that's, you know, that's not something that has anything to do with the actual topic or the people who are participating in, you know, this debate about video games on a service like Twitter, who perhaps don't even have any knowledge of the, you know, these message board wars or these troll politics. Yes, trolls have politics. Trolls have like very intense and elaborate internal politics. It always amazes me because, you know, trolls have their own brand of not necessarily ethics, but a code of behavior, you know. And trolling, you know, back in the day when it was more of an art as opposed to, you know, a scare tactic, based on the idea that nobody should take anything too seriously on the internet. And because of that, this whole war, no. Why do I try to talk about this, in difficult parts of this game? But, this whole war with, you know, video game nerds versus keyboard, you know, social justice warriors, and I don't even like that term, but I use it so people know what I'm talking about. But this was just ripe for trolling. The whole thing was, because it was a whole big pile of taking things way too seriously. And that's when you get trolls. And, you know, certain long-time troll targets, because they take things way too seriously, were involved. And it just sort of, you know, you have this giant, you know, WoW guild of people taking things way too seriously, and it drew the horde. And so it became really funny to do dumb things on the internet, like send death threats to an organization, and see just how stupid things can get. And I'm sure that whatever trolls are behind this, and I do believe it's trolls. Somebody asked why I believe it's trolls and not, you know, they asked not anti-Gamergate. And it's because every other time that the two sides have accused each other, it turns out it was neither of them. They were both targets. And so there's no reason that this isn't the same thing. And the trolls are continuing to do this stuff because people are making it so easy for them. They know there are some people, male and female alike, prone to histrionics that will generate very loud press coverage whenever anything happens. And I would suspect that these trolls are so amazed that this has worked so well for so long, they keep hitting the stupid button for the lulz. And, you know, the reality is a panel cancellation is not news. And a panel cancellation is not a reason to pull out of a conference, especially when people are canceling the panel out of a safety concern, you know. And I think it's weird that people are drawing lines and saying, why? Because it's Gamergate and the lulz mount. And this may sound heartless, and I realize that to the uninitiated, I sound like an apologist, or I sound like, you know, I'm just too sort of battle-hardened to notice what it's like for regular people. And that's not true. What it is it's what I've always been. I'm a pragmatist. And I don't need to feel good about a solution if it works. That's sort of where I'm at in this whole thing. That I don't need to stand on ceremony and show my liberal, really don't care. I have done so much community outreach work and so much anti-stigma advocacy. I don't feel like I have anything to prove in terms of, my liberal bona fides. That's ridiculous. I don't care if somebody thinks I'm a good little liberal. What I care about is working with anybody who's willing to talk about solutions that work and trying to get maximum diversity in video games, that keeps games as a fun interactive art form, but that also doesn't unnecessarily demonize the long-term players who've been playing since, the 1980s, in some cases the 1970s. There's no point, there's no need to demonize long-time players. Well, we're recognizing that we do need to do better accommodating different points of view. But I don't think the way this whole thing has been handled has been accommodating different points of view. I think this is the same old, that only one narrative can hold at any given time, and we're still terrible at nuance in the video game industry. And this isn't change. This isn't real change. This is more of the same, just with a different coat of paint.
Thanks.
And this has been,
Let's head up to the monastery and see what's going on.
Shh, Drake, I'm talking. But this has gotten me labeled, pro Gamergate and transphobic and an abuser. Both sides have called me an abuser. I think it's hilarious. Both radical feminists, trans advocates, and men's rights radicals, like I'm talking a voice for men, have called me an abuser, which makes me think that I'm actually just a moderate viewpoint, and that's an easy thing to call people. It's just, it's a silencing tactic. It's an attempt to stifle any dissent, and I don't play that game. Because I'm not one of the poles, in this tug of war, taking me down isn't going to harm any particular faction. I'm not a standard bearer for anything. I was somebody who once, considered myself a reporter. I don't so much anymore. That's something I guess I still am. Sometimes I do reporting, but my daily job is not being a reporter anymore. It's an analyst. It's this thing called a thought leader, meaning I make thinkies, and hopefully they're good thinkies, because that's what we need right now. We don't need people going out there and collecting news, because it's pretty darn hard to collect on the internet. I mean, what is it? Is any of this verifiable? No. What we need is analyzing what's going on the internet. And I mean, the thing that that sort of tripped my radar on this data-driven approach to harassment.
Would you slow down? These goons could be up ahead.
I'd love to see this data, because
we left those clowns
I'm not
in the
aware
dust
of it.
ages ago. That's disgusting. Oh, I wish I had my
See, this
camera.
game got in a lot of trouble for scenes like this.
What? The Spanish
Because Black Lives Matter.
the island to protect their gold?
And that was a joke, obviously,
This wasn't made
but
by the
it was a
Spanish.
pointed one.
Take a closer look at the spikes.
You
I
have
wouldn't be
got
surprised
to
if
be
there
kidding
is a character of
from our
color in
plane.
Uncharted 4.
Wait, that doesn't make any sense, though. Why would someone set traps like this when their own men are crawling
I
all
don't
over
know,
the island?
Elena. Why do
wouldn't.
you do the things you do? They don't make sense either.
Something's been here since the trap was
Ooh.
sprung.
Something or someone. Do you think that...
Do you hear that?
Also, I've been in the
what?
desert. You never have an exposed midriff. like that
Absolutely.
in, not the desert, the jungle. You never dress like that in the jungle. And, you know, some would say she is appropriately dressed because she is not overtly sexualized, but this is not appropriate for the jungle. You wear long sleeves and long pants and boots if you can. Why? Because things drop from the trees and climb from the ground, and they climb in your unmentionables and sting you. Like, they go right up your pants. I mean, what is she wearing? No, you never wear bare legs in the jungle. Never. Because there are leafcutter ants and sometimes freaking fire ants there. I watched them when I was down in this part of the world. You'd never dress like that. And, you know, some would say that, oh, she's not sexualized, so it's okay. But the reality is that she's still not dressed appropriately for, and this word appropriate, and this is why people get upset. This is why we have this, this is why we have this fight in gaming right now, is these euphemisms that really don't mean the way they're being used. I'm working on a thing for next week about Assassin's Creed and this whole idea, among other things, that Edie Fry is dressed appropriately and not sexualized. Really? Lacy capes and long flowing jackets while doing parkour is appropriate? 'Cause I'm pretty sure that it gets stuck on things while you're trying to flippy across buildings by, you know, the seat of your pants and just your bare hands. The word appropriate is being used inappropriately. And that's what's so silly about the whole thing. And because we don't have a robust peer review process for some of these ideas, gamers are calling BS, and they have the right to, because when we're dealing with female characters, it's not just about sexual appropriateness. And, you know, if the appropriate female character comes down to how much skin she's showing, that's exceptionally sexist thinking. And, you know, it comes down to other things, like, is she dressed for the weather? Is she dressed for the environment?
Yes, sir.
And no one would say that Elena is sexualized, but she's not dressed for the jungle. Oh, son of a bitch. And that's, you know, I'm not attempting to be the final word here. For people who know, I'm never attempting to be the final word. I'm just trying to get people to think for themselves. And I think we need a lot more of that in gaming, and we need a lot more, fewer talking points, more real dialogue. Now, unfortunately, now that services like Jezebel and Breitbart are covering games, we're going to get more talking points, because that's all those services are designed to do, just generate talking points for their prospective political affiliations. And is that going to get us better dialogue? No, it's not. But it's, you know, what gamers are doing right now is, like, imagine one of these laser sites is Breitbart, and one of these laser sites is Jezebel, and all we're doing is rolling because they won't let up on us, and they have superior weaponry, so we can't fire back because we're too busy evading their stupid, damn, overpowered laser sights. And we wonder why gamers are frustrated. You know, this is why I like gamifying metaphors for people, because this sort of makes sense to those of us who play a lot of video games. And eventually we get through, eventually we clear the level, but do we feel satisfied about it? No, we feel like it was cheap, and we feel like it was just a waste of our freaking time, because was that necessarily great design? Was that a fun experience? No, it was a lot of flippity floppity floppity till we finally got a clean shot in. And that's sort of what's happening in the real world in terms of gaming now. It's that
Nate, I've got a bad
you
feeling
want to
about this
feel,
place.
oh, Star Wars line.
Let's just find Sullivan and get the hell out of here.
Gaming, you want to feel like you're doing something in gaming, and that's why difficulty is such a challenge. For the longest time, it was just like these overpowered characters and walls of bullets. That was pretty funny. That was like a breakdancing stall in death. But, you know, game designers are constantly, you know, trying to thread the needle between fun and difficulty, because if it's too easy, it's not fun. And discussions of, you know, issues related to games are the same way. We don't want all our coverage to be completely light and fluffy and have no substance, no, because that's not rewarding in the long run. But we don't want the fun to stop, because games are fun, and coverage of games should reflect that, I think. People consume games to try to get away from the noise, among other things, of our highly partisan world right now. And the fact that gaming itself has become politicized, exceptionally frustrating for a lot of people, myself included, because, you know, I have to be so careful now, even with what freaking cosplays I wear to things, because I don't want that becoming a distraction from what my intent was, which is just fun. And I have my reasons for choosing the characters I do. It's not completely brainless, but I don't necessarily want to talk about those reasons when I'm there just having a good time. And that shouldn't be a terribly difficult concept to understand, but the services, many of the services that are covering games right now, are either avoiding these issues completely in favor of, you know, the scandal du jour, and then, you know, just regurgitating press releases for the game companies, or they're going whole hog like they're doing some protest speech at a college campus, and that's not resonating with the reasons why people play games, and the reasons, you know, gaming became such a big industry. You know, it's like those film reviewers that can't enjoy Star Wars because it's not realistic enough. They want verite cinema and hard-hitting issues. It's not what Star Wars is intended to be, and how the hell do I get up there? And it's the same thing with games. Complaining that games are too much like action movies, while complaining that action movies are too much like video games, it's this weird vicious cycle, misses the point that they're both designed to do the same thing. It's semi-brainless entertainment, and if they can get in an interesting little bit of social commentary so that people don't feel like, you know, their brains are completely rotting, all the better. But it's got to entertain first, because that's why people are going to see it. And again, it's like that difficulty thing in games. Oh, come on, jump there. It's like that difficulty versus fun issue in games. You can't make people think too much in an action movie nowadays, but you can't make people think not enough either, or else they'll get bored. And I mean, that's good that there are challenges for people creating entertainment content, because there's so much money in it that there should be challenges, and people should be pushing for more and better, and oh god, this level. I'm past one of my least favorite levels, which I'm happy about, but this level is tough too. But yeah, it's and so I get it, and I get why people are confused about why the media narrative is the way it is. And there are reasons, but the problem is that people are so upset right now, and they're so hurt that they're not in a place that they can hear those reasons. And so I just kind of have to go, yeah, it sucks, and listen, because that is the most useful thing I can do right now to calm the situation down. And you know, we've been saying for over a year now that we need to calm it down. Unfortunately, a lot of provocateurs involved in this who don't want anything to calm down, because they're not going to make any money without those screaming headlines. And that's unfortunate. And so, like I've been saying before, And people don't like this answer. But why is this happening, by the way? What the heck? Is this just too heavy? Do I have to find another way? I don't know, but this is boring to watch. People are just gonna have to start ignoring those sensationalized headlines because they're not going away. And I think that people are starting to understand what it's like to have a little bit of fame, or in this case, infamy. You know, why do people treat Gamergate this way? Well, Gamergate is a word now that draws eyeballs. And so it obviously drives clicks, and it makes people more likely to read an article. And so they will use it the same way they'll use Brad Pitt or Miley Cyrus or Nicki Minaj. It's absolutely the same thing, and it's just as dehumanizing. And that's simple. You know, I don't see anything with it. It keeps dropping the remaster, old game. But I'm gonna wrap there because that, you know, hopefully that answers the question. Like I said, it's not a good answer. I don't have time to. Ooh. See, that's pretty physics driven. Oh, shut up! I needed a hint. But like I said, I know that's not a good answer. But this is the downside, and I mean, trust me, I say this as someone who, you know, had a notorious late night show on Canadian television. People used us in very similar fashion. Anytime they wanted to say, you know, what was wrong with television, they'd use Ed the Sock as a shorthand, even though we had more women working on our crews than most television shows. We had a highly racially diverse cast. We worked our butts off to make sure that have I been here before? This looks very similar. But I mean, we worked our butts off to make sure that women of color were represented and got a chance to talk. We did all these, you know, socially progressive things, but because there were women in their underwear and sometimes flashing their boobs, none of that mattered. And that was very frustrating, but we sort of, what the heck? We sort of accepted that is the reality of actually changing things. People don't like change. Change has never been popular. So the first thing you get is outrage and people saying how disgusting and wrong and not yet, and it's unrealistic and you can't expect this and the whole thing. And I mean, this has happened with any sort of social progress in history. People react badly, and then it you know, slowly sort of chips away, and it becomes more and more accepted. I just went backwards, and this isn't fun. But I'm gonna wrap here, like I said, because first of all, you guys don't have to watch me fart around like this. But also, you know, I hope it answered the question, and for people, you know, who are not interested in Gamergate or not pro Gamergate or whatever your affiliation, I hope you stayed through listening to this, because you are a part of this, sort of understanding that the media narrative in this case has been skewed, and just don't, you know, think about other things you've read in the press that turned out to be skewed in favor of a political position, and how the narrative changed with time, and apply it to this. And is it important in the grand scheme of things? No, it's not really important in the grand scheme of things. It's about video games. But it is, you know, important that we treat people like people. And that's what I want to stick to here. And really pretty destruction here. This is a nice level. It reminds me of Gears of War, this level, which is probably really ignorant of me because, hey, there's a grate up here. Okay, I'm just babbling, so I'm gonna wrap now. Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend. We'll be back with Mountain Monday. Finally, haven't done a Mountain Monday in a while. It might be a very special Mountain Monday with a new game. We'll see. Woo, new games.